What is happening, everybody? Welcome back to Tour Life. Today is November 19th, and I'm solo dolo once again. A couple people under the weather here, so hopefully Yuli gets better soon. He'll be back, hopefully ready to go next week. We pushed a couple things back. We have a couple interviews that I'm very excited about, but I want Yuli here for those interviews. So those will be next week as well. We also will have Edwin on next week, who will be breaking down all of the Manufacturers Cup and maybe some, what's going to happen with people leaving their sponsors and all that stuff. So it should be very, very interesting. Good show next week. But this show, it's going to be good because a lot of it is going to be coming from you guys. Not a lot of stories out there, but we're going to be taking a lot of questions, a lot of good questions actually this week, Silas, which I'm happy about. And we will also going to be opening my Twitter. If you guys are interested, make sure you go over to Twitter because later in the show, we will be going live on Twitter while we're live here, and you guys can call in. And that's how we don't really know how to do call-ins. So that's how we do call-ins over on Twitter. I wish we had a number that you could call. I don't know how to do that. No one knows that. Silas, does anyone know how to do that? No one knows how to do that.
Nobody.
I think we need like thousands
it's expensive, I think.
Yeah, I think we need a lot of money to make that happen. And we're not really a call-in show. So this is kind of our way around it. So we'll have you guys call in via Twitter, and you can call in and talk right here on the show. It should be good. All right. Recap of my week. I've been actually starting to ramp up training a little bit.
What are you training for?
Disc golf. What the heck?
Oh, okay.
I'm going back out.
I didn't know if you're just starting to run a marathon or what we were doing here.
No, I'm going back out. So I'm starting to slowly ramp up practicing, and just got off the course not too long ago. Today was pretty good, just working on trying to get the timing and everything down. But the body's feeling good, so that's good. The next stage will be ramping up back in the weight room. So getting back in the weight room, getting my stretching program down, lifting weights, and then doing a little bit extra running as well. I got time. It's mid-November. That's November to December, December to January, January to February. I've got, just over 3 months, was just plenty of time to kind of get into good shape again. So that's what I'll be doing over the next 3 months or so. It is starting to get a little bit chilly. And speaking of chilly, real quick, before we jump into the sponsor of today's video, can you throw up that photo I've got of the snow, Silas? Because I think this was posted in our Discord. This is from Thor. He said, while you were talking with Anniken, she said that we in Norway don't practice outdoors during winter. Well, this is why. My practice basket during this winter. Look at all that snow. And he wants to know, does anyone think Brodie will see my post? Well, we saw the post, brother. And yeah, looks like that it would not be, one, enjoyable, two, productive. You're not doing anything. And I do remember talking with her, saying how in the off season, she doesn't basically play disc golf at all. Silas, what's the coldest temperature for you?
That I would play disc golf in?
Yes, like at what point are you not playing disc golf anymore?
Honestly, anything below like freezing, 32.
Jeez.
Yeah, I don't think I can do below freezing.
I feel like once it starts getting like around the 40 range, I'm already in the mode of like not really enjoying it that much. It's just when you start, it's the same thing with golf. When you start adding so many layers on, it really does change your swing, changes your throw. It's not the same. So
well, yeah, even like with a sweatshirt, I noticed like it feels different. It feels different from.
I'm okay with just a hoodie, but once I'm starting to have to put, the tight long sleeve stuff to kind of keep my body warm in there, and I have to wear a jacket.
I just feel restricted. Like I think it's my shoulder that feels restricted.
I think you're just wearing too tight. I think you're wearing too tight of a hoodie.
Oh,
I can wear a hoodie and not feel restricted.
Oh,
I think your hoodies might be a little bit tight. You need to look into that. But let's jump into the sponsor of today's video. Today's show is sponsored by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best way to get action on sports in over 30 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, and Texas. And now you can win up to 100 extra money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. Prize Picks is the best way to win real money this football season. Which players are going off, which ones aren't. Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money all season long on Prize Picks. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. This week, some players I like looking at. Jaden Daniels, I feel like he's been a monster all season, so I hammer the more on that. Also, Saquon Barkley is fitting super nice in that Eagles offense, so I looked for him more, not just receiving touchdowns. You can give that guy more also on rushing yards as well. Download the app today and use code TOURLIFE to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code TOURLIFE to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. All righty. Prize Picks for sponsoring today's podcast. All right, I want to jump into a clarification. Silas, we knew this was going to happen last week. Whenever you talk about any sort of hot topics where a group of people disagree or agree, you know, it's very much like there's a line in the sand. People are on this side, people are on this side. And for whatever reason, you know, people get really up in arms about it. You know it's going to happen. That's one of the reasons why we don't spend too much time on these topics and we normally give our opinions. But even when people are asking, when are you going to talk about it? When are you going to talk about it? When are you going to talk about it? And then when you finally do talk about it, then you get people saying on the other side, Silas, why the heck are you talking about this? Why you can't win, right? But here's the thing. I'm not playing a game that I'm trying to win. That's the beautiful thing. That's why I love having this podcast. I'm not trying to come on here and get you to like me. I'm not trying to come on here and get you to believe what I say or agree with what I say. I'm just coming on here and I'm talking about what I think. And if you agree or disagree, we can have discourse and move forward. So we're talking about the Natalie Ryan situation from last week. That was gets brought up pretty much every week. It's just a topic that we've already talked about. I've already said where I stand on the issue. But man, after like weeks and weeks and weeks, it seems like there's a bunch of people coming in. They don't know. There was also another situation where another person has transitioned and was no longer playing an MPO and was playing an FPO. And so I felt the need to finally answer some of the questions that were being sent in because a new situation had occurred in the disc golf world. So that's what happened last week. Now, whenever you do talk about these things, the things that I love, whenever it gets, I guess we'll say politics, right? People love taking stuff out of context. And really at the end of the day, Silas, what ends up happening is people go into conversations already closed-minded. They already have their mind made up. And as soon as you say, and that's why I hate politics, because as soon as you say you're a Republican or you're a Democrat, all of a sudden, all these people, everyone puts these ideas and thoughts about you. Republicans say they hate Democrats. Democrats say they hate Republicans. First off, I think the whole two-party system is silly. I don't understand how a big group of people can all agree on the same stuff. It just doesn't make sense. And to me, I would never say I'm a Republican or Democrat because you're now pigeonholing yourself into you have to agree with all this stuff, or at least that's what people think. So I think that's already silly to begin with. But what ends up happening a lot of times is people come in, they have their ideas already made up. And so no matter what you say, they will twist your words or they won't even listen really of what you're saying. And I would love to have some people come on maybe tonight on Twitter and talk to me more about this because I think open conversation, open dialogue is important. But I saw, I think it was Disc Golf Fanatic. They posted the clip of me and Yuli talking about it. And man, some of those comments are wild. So I just want to make this clarification out there for everyone that maybe isn't listening. I don't think people are transitioning to play women's sports. I don't think that is happening. Okay? Make that very clear. However, that doesn't mean that I think they should be able to play in women's sports. I don't think that makes the playing field fair. And to sum it all up, I've said this again, I'll say it again one more time. If we do not believe there is a difference between men competing in sports and women competing in sports, then don't have divisions. Don't have a protected division. FPO is a protected division. Men can't play FPO. MPO is not a protected division. Women can play MPO. So just get rid of the protected division and we all play in one division. Now, if you say, whoa, hey, Kristen Tatar is never going to cash. Kristen Tatar in a few years won't even be on tour. Heck, she might not even be on tour next year if you did that. Her words, not mine. Would that be good for the sport of disc golf? I don't think so. So what should we do? Oh, we should probably create a division that protects Kristen Tatar. Oh, we've already done that in the past. Weird. And my point is too, because people are saying, oh, Brodie's talking. He doesn't know the science. Yeah, I don't have that much interest in knowing what people that are transitioning are. Are we good, Size? Okay.
Yeah,
I saw the chat going messed up. I personally don't have any interest in knowing the science behind or the medication or the operations or whatever of someone going through the transitioning process. That's just not something I find interesting or really to the point of where I want to learn what that is. Okay. To me, I don't really care. Whatever you want to do in your life, do in your life. That's fine. It goes back to the point. It sounds like I'm just like, sometimes when I talk about this out loud, it sounds crazy. It goes back to the point. We have all decided that men should not be able to compete with women in sports. It's not fair. So what you're telling me is that you have to create something. And this is why I think some people got misconstrued when they're like, oh, no one's transitioning to play in women's sports. I'm not saying that. But for it to be fair, you have to do something to make the advantage go away. And I think that's nearly impossible. I think there are certain advantages that you have when you're born a man that you don't have when you're born a woman biologically. And I don't think that goes away. Does it change? Of course, sure. But like the question is like, how much does it need to change? That's where it gets crazy. So I'll leave it at that. Leave it at that. And if you think I'm a terrible person, that's completely fine. I don't really give a rip. I don't care. Okay. Size, did I miss anything there? Are we good? Are we good to move past that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was a pretty. I mean, yeah, it was a statement. I don't think you're saying anything.
And the thing is, too, is until we stand up and all say what we actually think. Because I think there are a lot of people that agree with what I'm saying or believe what I'm saying. What ends up like? At what point in time do people just start saying, I think I should be playing in this division age-wise? Like when it's just when the line has to be drawn at a certain point. And at one point in time in history, we drew the line that if you're born a guy, you have to play with guys. And if you're born a girl, well, you don't have to, because women can play in men's sports, and we have seen women play in men's sports. But if you're born a woman, you're in a protected division. So, all right.
So yeah, who makes the ruling? Is the PDGA the ones that make the ruling on if that's legal or not?
It's the states. So
no,
that's
within the sport of disc golf.
So that's the thing, is they have no ruling. That was the whole issue with Natalie last year.
Gotcha.
Is Natalie took them to court and won in court, basically, in certain states. So
Okay.
I believe right now the law is statewide, because we have national law and state law, and I believe right now a lot of
it's
a
just
lot of
like
this
state by state kind of thing.
I think so, and that's
Okay.
why we speculated, like, is the Disc Golf Pro Tour not going to go to California? Because that is where, okay, Mad Dog, let me know what happened. It never went to trial. It definitely did something. They definitely
he
paid
said
money.
PDGA gave up.
There was definitely times where players, I remember in California, players left to go and to the court. There was definitely stuff involved. The PDGA Disc Golf Pro Tour, I think they also paid a lot of money to do everything. So there's a trial, whatever the terminology is, basically what ended up happening is it was a losing battle. It was a losing battle.
Okay.
And the question is, at the end of the day, should the PDGA or the Disc Golf Pro Tour have gone bankrupt over fighting this battle that really isn't even their fight at the end of the day? Right? So yeah. So that's kind of where it went to. But it's going to be a topic until the end of time, right? It's gonna and as soon as if it goes the other direction, then it's going to still be a topic, because there's going to be people saying they should be. It's going to be a topic no matter what. So it is what it is. All right. Hopefully I make that clarification and we can move on past that situation. Let's talk about more of a bright side situation. Let's talk about a bright side situation. Bill Nye was on Kai Cenat's live stream on Twitch. He's doing one of those marathon subathon things.
Yeah,
which
he's going hard in the paint with that.
I mean,
30
if you want to talk,
days in a row.
but if you want to talk about how
hours.
much, do you know how much money he's making from that?
Oh, tons.
Like each sub is
millions.
think about each sub being like $5, and he's got 600,000. So do the math. It's a lot of cash.
Goodness.
It's a lot of quiche. But yeah, so Bill Nye was brought on. It sounded like, from the little clip that I saw, it sounded like Kai wanted to get Bill Nye the last time he did a subathon like this, wanted to get Bill Nye on, but I'm guessing something didn't work with Bill Nye's schedule or whatnot, and so he wasn't able to come on. So he was really excited actually to have Bill on. Now, did he know that disc golf was going to be the thing? I'm assuming the producers did. I don't know how involved he is on the day-to-day of everything, but it was cool. It was cool to see him do it. And yeah, well, Edwin just said he's known for tricking his followers into the pump and dump investment schemes. I don't know enough about him to be fair. A lot of those people that got really famous really quickly in the social media world, they have been known to try to make money. Heck, those pajama people, have you been seeing that, Silas?
What?
Kelsey's been telling me about these people. These two women started a pajama business, and like it was just very bad. And they're getting a lot of backlash from it. But it's no different. It happens across a lot of different industries where people get famous and then they try to make money off of it. You can't fault people for it. Now, deceiving your audience and tricking your audience and all that, not the greatest thing. But if you want to put a product out there and overcharge for it and people are going to buy it, I mean, at the end of the day, the customer is the one that has the power. Just don't buy the product. Don't buy the product. Now, getting deceived, that's tough. That is tough. And we're going to be talking about someone that's done a lot of deceiving over these last couple months here in a second. But just want to say that was a cool thing to see disc golf, just getting exposed.
Yeah, well, I feel like
to a huge audience.
So, like, we need to do as much as we can with that kind of stuff, because that is what's reaching the non-disc golf audience, and like will hopefully promote the sport into, more people's lives and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and marketing, at the end of the day, when Domino's pays a crap ton of money to have a ad played during a football game, there is part of it to where it's like, oh, I hope someone sees this and goes, oh, that looks good, I want to order that. But there also is a thing of having that in your head so that the next time you think about getting pizza, that pops up like, oh, Domino's, right? And so, like, to me, do I think all of a sudden this next week we're going to see a huge influx of people playing disc golf? No, no. This is going to have zero impact in the short run
Yeah.
about people playing disc golf. However, kids that saw that, if they get exposed to it again, if they see it in their school as a part of their physical education, or maybe one of their friends starts playing and says, "Hey, come play disc golf."
Yeah, they know what it is. They've seen
Yes.
it before.
And
somewhere.
it's also with someone that they like watching and are influenced by. And so they have this like positive reinforcement on it. So to me, I think that's cool. I like it.
Yeah.
And
We gotta
more
get
more
the Barstool collab.
yeah, well, I mean, they're playing disc golf in their office too. It's kind of
That's
crazy. I did throw it out there as I haven't heard yet from Jersey Jerry himself, but I did throw it out there as that would be a fun. He does these live streams where he basically has to complete a task and he can't finish live streaming until the task is completed.
Didn't he do
And
like
so
3-pointers?
he's done 3-pointers. He's done all sorts of stuff.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
really has. But I thought a disc golf ace would be pretty phenomenal. And I think it would take him quite a bit of time.
Him getting a disc golf ace?
Yeah,
oh,
now
man.
I don't know if this is something that we just set up in their office to where it's like maybe only 150 feet. It's not insane.
It's not like impossible.
Yeah, but still, like if you're not really good at throwing a frisbee, you're gonna have to learn to get better at it very quickly to ace 150 feet. You can't just willy-nilly keep chucking it and hope for the best.
No,
So we'll see. They did respond saying that was an interesting idea, but I haven't heard anything from that. Maybe I'll reach out again because that would be good exposure as well. Some other things that happened. Ricky Wysocki has opened a disc golf store. It's called Disc Golf HQ. It's in the Phoenix area. So if you're ever in the Phoenix area, swing by. Check it out. And this is also, I think, another big thing. We see Paul Macbeth do this a lot. We see Ricky Wysocki doing it. We see Dylan Cease doing it. At the end of the day, for a sport to continue to grow, you do need deep pockets putting it back into the sport. And we're seeing that from a lot of people. So the more that happens, the more the sport can grow, right? That's just, at the end of the day, that's just what it is. It's a money game. The more money that gets pumped into the sport, the better it is. All right, let's jump into some listener questions now. So what I think we're going to do for this part, Silas, is I'm going to hop over. If you guys are in here, we have over 300 people in here right now. If you guys want, I have it pinned in the comment section. I am going to hop over and bounce on to Twitter, and we're going to do a live over there. And so if you have any questions or any comments or anything like that, or you want to debate me on anything, you can bounce on and talk. If we have a lull, Silas, where not really a lot's happening, I have a bunch of questions that were sent in from Twitter. So maybe I'll do the first one when we get set up and let people kind of roll in. You can still do this, right, on Twitter? I'm not crazy, am I?
A live, or what do they
here
call
it
it?
goes.
Space?
Wait, yeah, wait, this is just a live recording. Live, here it is. Oh, they changed it. Okay, start a space. That's what we want. All right. Disc golf live. We're just gonna do disc golf or life pod. What?
I'm curious to see if we'll get any people that disagree with you on something.
I think a lot of those people block me probably, so maybe not. But well, you never know, Silas. You never know.
That's true.
All right. So it has now started over on Twitter. So I think you guys can join now over on Twitter if you want. And let me turn that up. Let me silence that real quick because that music is a little annoying. And we will bounce over there. I'm going to turn my mic on so people can hear me. over here. And if you are over on the Twitter and you have any questions, you're able to just raise your hand and you can pop in and we'll bring you live on the show. So I'm going to answer this first one. This was sent in via Twitter, and then we'll maybe give some time for some people over on Twitter to pop in. So this one says, do you play disc golf in your regular everyday shoes, or do you own a pair just for disc golf? So I own several pairs. The way I operate with shoes, my foot is no longer growing. So what that means I can do is I can just buy a whole bunch of shoes all at once, and then I don't have to buy shoes for a couple years. That's how I operate. I don't like buying shoes. So I find a shoe that I like, and then I buy like 6 pairs. And then I just rotate through that shoe for 2-3 years, and then I rinse and repeat. But that's how I rock and roll. I do not wear, I think I did wear normal shoes one time, and a lot of my normal shoes do not have any traction on them.
What are you rocking right now? What's your go-to pair?
I wear Allbirds. I like
Oh, okay.
Allbirds a lot. Yeah. All right. We currently don't have anyone requesting on the Twitter. So I'll just keep going to the next question. If you guys, we are live right now over on YouTube for the Tour Life podcast. If you're listening over on Twitter right now in the Twitter space, just raise your hand or request, and we'll pull you live right here on the show. All right, next question is, when you were getting in your disc golf, when you were getting into disc golf, I'm thinking, did you feel frustrated at the instant hate you received? You worked hard to get where you were, so it wasn't a surprise to me when you got your deals. Would you have done anything different coming into the sport? I feel like I've talked about this a little bit in the past. I mean, I think when you are successful in anything, you are going to have people that are jealous or, I don't know, want to tear you down. That's the world we kind of live in right now. A lot of people like tearing people down. So that's nothing new. If I could go back in time, there definitely would be some things I would change. Like I feel like I would probably give myself a little bit more time in certain aspects on certain things that I agree or disagree with. But really, if you go back and listen to some of the stuff or look at the tweets I was posting when I first came on, my mind hasn't really changed all that much. The only difference is now I've been playing disc golf for a decent amount of time. I've had some good finishes, so like you can consider me good at disc golf. And to me, I've never understood why for certain things that should matter. Because when I jumped onto the scene, a lot of stuff I was saying, I wasn't talking specifically about how players played disc golf. I was talking more about how the sport operated at the professional level. So I don't know. If you find anything crazy that I said in the past, please let me know, and I will call myself out. I definitely I've had hot takes in the past for sure. Any thoughts about the Aussie Open 2024 trophy? It's a didgeridoo. A didgeridoo. I'm not saying that right. So say it for me one time, because then I'll say it right. Didgeridoo?
Where?
Didgeridoo. Gosh,
I'm stumped.
If
stumped
someone
on that one.
if someone said it, I would know whether or not it was the correct way, because the way I'm saying it, I know isn't right. But it's basically a musical instrument. It's one of those like long ones, and it's a sick musical instrument. But Silas, being pull that photo up of him holding it. Here's the issue, guys. This looks like a piece of driftwood. I mean, there's no ifs, and buts about it. This looks like a piece of driftwood, right? And so I don't know, man. Optics do matter. And I think sometimes people, I don't know. I think sometimes people they want to do it their way, and it's fine. I get it. But and again, it's a small tournament. I guess not. Australian Open champion. But I mean, people are going to make fun of your trophy. If it looks like that, people are going to make fun of the trophy. It looks like someone literally forgot a trophy, went into the woods, found a tree that went over, quickly carved the bark off of it, and handed it in.
That's pretty bad. It's didgeridoo. That's how you say it.
Didgeridoo.
I Googled it.
Yep. Didgeridoo. Thank you. Didgeridoo. I've heard a couple played before. It's got a great sound to it. Sounds great.
What is it? All just right. Like a horn?
No. It's more of a
that's a horn.
Yeah.
Like a tuba?
That's actually a pretty good impersonation of a didgeridoo. I think I kind of nailed it actually.
I don't even think the mic picked you up.
What are you talking about?
I think it was too low. Oh, there you go. Oh. Wow. That's pretty good, man.
Didgeridoo. Just watch any Survivor, and that's basically the musical instrument they play in like every intro of Survivor. They love the didgeridoo. Thank you. We still have no one. I mean, this is what happens. I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. I'm going to jump ahead to this question. How did the Tour Life podcast come to be? This is how it came to be. The Tour Life podcast initially was debate night with Hunter as the moderator. So many people come after me on social media. They say all these things. So I said, hey, come on. We're going to create a podcast where you can come on and talk to me mano y mano. And so we created this podcast, and no one ever called in, Silas. No one ever called in. It was the worst podcast ever.
It was tough.
And so debate night had to go away. And then obviously Trevor changed it and has brought it back, and it's a lot better now than what it was. But initially, like, Yuli would call in and want to talk disc golf. And then it got to the point where it's like, well, heck, maybe me and Yuli just start a podcast. So that's what it is. We do actually have our first request here on Twitter. Our first request. We're going to add him in. This is Disc Golf Guru on Twitter. And Disc Golf Guru, you're our first person. Do not let us down. Here we go. Oh, he's muted. Oh, boy. All right, once he figures out how to... Oh, there we go. Figured it out. There you go. You're live.
Yep, got it figured out. So, you don't like ratings. If they were
for professionals, and I don't like how they are calculated for AMs.
Yeah, so if they scrapped it completely for any MPO, FPO, any pro division, and kept it only AMs, would you be happy with it? Would it still need to be tweaked?
Well, I still think it should be tweaked, because the whole thing with what they're basically trying to do is they're trying to create a system to let you know where you should play. How good are you at disc golf and where you should play. To me, you can have two people with how the rating system currently is set up. You can have two people where someone is just super consistent. They don't ever really make mistakes. Can everyone hear, Silas? Can you hear, by the way? Is that okay?
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
We're good.
Okay, great. So right now, the way the system is set up is you can have two people that are the same rated but drastically different players, right? One player can be super safe, never really makes big mistakes, never really does anything incredible, super steady, okay at putting, and he shoots 920, 930, around there all the time. He's 920 rated. Then you could have a very aggressive, streaky player that has a very high ceiling, can go out and shoot 980, can go out and shoot 1,000. But then also, when he's having a bad putting day, it can get real bad in a hurry. And so he's shooting 850, he's shooting 840, he's shooting 860. And so what he ends up a 920 rated player. And so now you have two people that are rated the same, but are drastically different.
Yeah.
The way golf does it is it's not what is your average. It doesn't look at all your scores and what is your average. It says, when you go out there and you play good golf, or what I want it to be for disc golf, when you go out there and you played good disc golf, what are you shooting? And if you tell me, hey, when I go out and I play good disc golf, I'm shooting this. And when I go out and play good disc golf, I'm shooting this. Now me and you can go out there and compete and feel like when I play good and you play good, there's not this big, what the heck just happened, right?
Yeah.
Where right now in a lot of divisions, you have people winning by 8, 10 shots, and people are being like, sandbagger, sandbagger. And it's like, well, no, that person just sometimes has blow ups, and these other people never have blow ups. So that's the big thing to me, is like, to make it more enjoyable for everyone, you got to change it to where, well, first off, you got to take away the fact where you're taking ratings into account with the field. That's the stupidest thing ever, right? If I show up and there's 10 people and all 10 people play really well, guess what? All of our ratings are going to suck that day. That's stupid. That makes no sense. So they got to do away with that. And then you also have to make it to where it's just your top hole. It's your top rounds, 20%, 30%, whatever you want to do it. You can look at golf and see how the golf does it as well. But it's really just your top rounds of how you perform is the easiest. There's obviously different things that go into play too. Golf has other things that if you really want to get crazy in there, for example, they don't let you take a 15 on a hole, right? Like that, you can't go and play and shoot 15 on a hole and have that account for your score. But that's kind of like a little bit more deep into it. The basics of it is disc golf is an average. Golf is like, when you play well, this is what you shoot. And to me, I think that'd be more fair and more enjoyable across the board.
How much should other players' ratings affect your play?
Zero.
So the course rate,
Correct.
how you play.
And this is where it comes in. Oh, Brodie, well, what the heck? If I go out and it's super windy one day and it's the course is super challenging and I shoot 10 over, well, what the heck? Guess what, buddy? That's not going to go to your rating. Because what I just told you is only your best scores go to your rating. The course is never going to, you're never going to show up to the course and say, this course is playing easier.
Yeah.
Right? Like, the course is only going to be difficult when it's windy, rainy, whatever. The course is never going to set up to where it's like, oh, this course is playing easier today than normal. So that's where it's like, just wipe out those scores and you're good to go.
I was looking at our local, and over the last 5 years, they've down 940 tournament.
Yep. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, and people have sent in multiple examples of this. We've shown it multiple times with FPO and MPO. As soon as FPO stopped playing with the MPO layouts and we're outside of the MPO pool, guess what started happening? FPO ratings started skyrocketing. Why is that? And it's not hard. You can literally look and see. There's times and times again where like the FPO layout is, let's say, is 10 shots easier than the MPO layout. But it doesn't if you look at like 10 shots easier, the ratings are vastly different, right? So again, this is something that's not rocket science. This is something that I do not believe that the people in the PDGA don't understand. What I'm saying, there's no way the PDGA is saying like, we've never thought about that, or what you're saying doesn't make any sense. What it ultimately comes down to is they don't want to change. They don't want to change. There's a way of making it better. They don't want to change. I don't know how long it's been. That I don't know. I do know they paid for the rights of it, and they paid a whole bunch of money for it. But I don't actually know how long the algorithm has been around for. Is this better right here, Seth? I can't tell where the mic. Here, talk for me real quick. Is the mic from the bottom of my phone? Go ahead, talk.
Yeah, I mean, I can hear you just fine.
Is that better? Okay, sorry. And the other thing too is like, this is why I think ratings is dumb. Is Gannon is the best disc golfer that's ever existed.
Probably so.
Like where he is right now, like the level of disc golf he's playing right now is higher than anyone has ever played before. We can go and debate about the Paul Macbeth thing. That's fine. Whether or not you want to say he had a better season, that's completely really fine. But it doesn't take a rocket scientist to look at how Gannon's playing and tell me there's ever been a better disc golfer skill wise than him right now. And so the problem with that though is like he doesn't have the highest rating that there's ever been in disc golf. So like it's a flawed system. Just remove it completely from the pros. It also too, the other reason why this should be removed from the pros is now this puts a lot more pressure on sponsors for actually having to come up with better ways of sponsoring players. Because right now it's very easy for them to just be like, oh, you're under 1,000 rated, you're in this pool. You're between 1,000 and 1,020, you're in this pool. You're above 1,020, you're in this pool. And I don't think that's a lot of really fair for a lot of players. Like some players like to play on tour and then don't play off tour, and those people are going to be affected negatively. And so that's where I am on the rating situation. Oh, I appreciate you calling in though. I always love a good little rating talk.
Appreciate it.
All right, take it easy, brother. All right. If anyone else wants to call in on Twitter, we are live right now over on Twitter. So by all means, make your voice heard. All you have to do is request in, and we'll get you in there. All right, some other listener questions here. Max called in. We'll get you right first. All right, here we go. Max, you are live on the Tour Life podcast, my friend. How's it going?
There you go. Doing well. Excellent. Let's talk about tournament director.
Yes.
So, NADGT Championships was here in Austin recently, and reportedly Dave Feldberg gets a six-figure payment from the city of Austin every time they bring it in town. But had some buddies play. It was like $200 to register, and apparently the player packs were awful. Or, I mean, they had Idio shoes, which are great, but everything else was just a bunch of crap.
Okay.
So, how much should a tournament director earn?
That's a great question. I think that needs to be 100% on the players. I think the way I view it is more because I'm going to remove myself a little bit, because when it comes to like disc golf, my needs and wants are probably a lot different than the amateur needs and wants at a tournament. So I'm gonna compare it to like a race. So like a 5K, a marathon, something like that, right? At the end of the day, I'm going to make an assessment for how much money I spent versus what I felt like I got in return, right? And so there are certain races out there that are a lot more expensive to run than other ones. You can hop in a race for $15 and you're probably just going to get a bib. You're going to get your time with the chip, and there might be some water on the course, and you might get a cheap screen printed shirt at the end, and that's it. And there's other races that you're going to have tons of food. You're going to have masseuses there beforehand. You're going to have lounges afterwards. You're going to have live music on the course, and you're going to value that way more. So at the end of the day, again, the customer is the person that controls it. If you show up to a tournament run by a person and you're like, that sucked, I felt like I just got absolutely screwed, don't ever sign up again with that tournament director. And they're going to have to change. But if people keep signing up and keep playing and giving people money, nothing's going to change. Now, at the end of the day, do I think tournament directors should they get paid? 1,000%. Because if these guys are going out there and doing this for, a nickel every hour, then it's going to be brutal. You're just not going to get anything good. So that's why I think they should get paid, but at the same time, there needs to be value there, or people are going to be pissed.
Oh yeah, totally get it. Especially here, I mean, across all the divisions, there was 6 or 7 courses in use, and you have to have spotters everywhere. It's a lot of assets. So I get it. It costs money, but getting a 6-figure payment from the city of Austin makes it a little suspect.
Well, that's at the end of the day, that's what it boils down to, right? Is like, if you hear that the tournament director, let's go smaller, right? That you hear a tournament director made $2,000 off the tournament after the fact, and you're like, we didn't even have water. That's a problem, right? Because the tournament director could have spent $200 and still made $1,800, and then that's kind of gone. So that's where they got to figure it out. And again, you as the consumer, everyone listening to this podcast that plays, just don't play in bad tournaments, and then those people have to change. You know?
Yeah. No, and I get it from the city's point of view, bringing tourism, so whatever makes sense. But, I mean, a lot of these people at the top divisions, they're competing for the chance to get a tour card. So they got to go. And it's the only NADGT, so it's not like they can find a way to get a tour card.
Yeah.
Elsewhere.
Well, if that's the
instant
instant, if that is the case, then you just gotta bring it up. Like what you're doing right now, bring it up. Bad press. Like, this is wrong. Don't do this anymore. And that's a lot of stuff what we do on this podcast, really. At the end of the day, it's like there's a lot of people that agree with what I say on this podcast. They just either don't have the platform or they're scared to say it and voice it because of the backlash. But if no one actually brings it out, then nothing's going to change. All these people are going to still do the same stuff.
Yeah, definitely understand that. I mean, everyone just wants to stick with the status quo. We get our feelings hurt easily.
Yep.
But stuff should change, hopefully. Hopefully he didn't actually get that 6-figure payment, but
Yeah.
tournament went well.
We'll see what happens. Appreciate you calling in, brother.
Of course, you take care.
All right, you too, man.
All right, bye.
All right. We'll move on until someone else requests. Let's see here. Why do people constantly misuse the word stable when describing an overstable disc? So this is something that is pretty fascinating. I think a lot of people, the terminology for disc golf is not, it's not well known. And what needs to happen really is the Pro Tour needs to get bigger. More people need to watch, and the commentators or whoever's talking about disc golf on there need to talk more about it. They need to talk about it and talk about it the right way. Because if you're new to the sport, you can easily, like, I always said this with Ultimate Frisbee. The biggest problem that Ultimate Frisbee had was it wasn't really broadcasted out that well. And so I would show up and do clinics at local, small local teams, leagues and stuff like that. And they would all, like, a lot of players would all do very similar things. And I'm like, where did you guys learn to do this? Who taught you this? And they're like, oh, Billy over here, he's the best player in the town, in the city. He does it. So we just all do it. And it's like, you can't get away with that with other sports, right? If in basketball, if you have some random person teaching you something, it's very clear and obvious when it's completely wrong, because you're like, the professionals don't do that. That's not how they operate. We're not doing that. But in disc golf, the pro scene isn't really out there all that often. So you could just have local people saying stuff because they heard it said this way, and then that's how stuff passes down. I mean, that's how we're shaking hands before hole 18.
Yeah,
that's the only reason
wild.
we're shaking hands because one person started doing it, and then everyone started thinking we need to shake hands before hole 18. That's the stupidest thing ever. It's so dumb.
Yeah.
But because one person started doing it, it's trickles, and then everyone's like, that's what you do in disc golf. And it's like, have you ever thought about maybe that's not what we should be doing? So
you're saying they're using stable as saying overstable?
So yeah, so stable.
Stable to me means straight.
Straight. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Correct. But people will say get stable when they want the disc to basically fade.
Yeah. So like stable up.
Or stable up.
Okay.
Yeah. Which if you're saying stable up, that should mean get straighter.
Yeah.
Like
straighten out.
A stable up call would be if you threw a hyzer flip and it's not really flipping. Then you would yell stable up because it's coming out on hyzer and you want it to get flat and stable.
That makes sense. Yeah.
You know? Oh, new caller. Here we go. Coming in. I don't even know what your name's too long. This is Street Cred. Street Cred, you're live on Tour Life. What's up?
Hey, how's it going, Brodie?
I'm chilling, brother.
All right, so I've had this vision because we all know that disc golf is not as hard as ball golf. We know that.
There are some people that will debate you. I am not one of those people.
Right, and I've heard you make the argument that that's one of the issues when it comes to watching the sport, that like people just kind of go, oh, well, it's not as difficult, so it kind of gets disrespected in that way. And so I've had this idea because I feel like there's a thing that we're not incorporating into disc golf, which is night golf and glow disc golf.
Whoa.
And so what is your feeling about like having at least one tournament where instead of it starting to get dark and we shut down and play the next morning, we just go, no, we're going to keep playing? Because I just have my like this image of like we get some generators out, we get some like lamps, we light up the basket, and we get like with the cameras this really awesome on camera like at night version of golf, which would of disc golf, which would increase like, oh, this is hard. Like these guys, it's not like ball golf. Like they got to play at night. They got to keep going.
So
What do you think about that?
So I'll say this, a couple of things. If you're talking simply like you're playing a tournament and you're saying the tournament is running later than they expected, or maybe they set it up in a way of where they're like, hey, the last 6 or 7 cards are going to have to play in the dark. I don't think that's super fair, right? That's almost kind of like Mario Kart, where if you're in first place, you automatically go slower than everyone else so people can catch up. I'm not a huge fan of that. But where you were initially, where I thought you were initially going, I could actually get behind, which is, let's find one of those par 3 courses, or let's find one of those golf courses that actually have lights already on them. Because I think it is going to be way too expensive, way too difficult to bring in our own lighting. But let's find one of those courses out there and let's have a night event. Now it could be an exhibition. It doesn't have to necessarily be an actual Disc Golf Pro Tour event, but I don't hate that idea. I think night golf is incredible. I think it's really cool. I don't hate that idea at all.
I just think it's something that like we're kind of leaving on the table in terms of like because also just the visual aspect, like how it would look on camera to the viewer at home. Like, wow, this is something totally different. It's something that is kind of true to the recreational nature of the sport. And it's something that no other sport can really do, you know?
Yeah, and being in golf and in disc golf, there are way more people. I don't know if it's if the number of people, but the percentage of people that play golf versus the percentage of people that play disc golf, that play glow, the percentage is way higher in disc golf. So you already have this kind of market of people going out and playing it and liking it. I don't hate that idea at all. I actually think doing like something of where it's like you can build it up too, like a cool like night exhibition. Maybe it's a 1 round exhibition in the night. I think that'd be fun. It'd be a good change of pace.
Nice. Awesome, man. Thank you.
Of course, brother. Have a wonderful night. All right. Let's keep it going here. We are live currently. If you're joining the show, we are live currently over on my Twitter. That is Brodie Smith 21 over on Twitter. You can hop in the live space because we are currently live here on YouTube with over 400 people listening. If you have any questions, you want to call into the show, you want to debate me about something, by all means, call in. All right, let's see.
How do you film that, though? The night thing.
Silas, don't ask me questions.
I'm just wondering.
I don't think actually would be that hard.
Well,
because what I'm saying is you're playing it on a course that already is set up for it.
Oh, okay.
So you're playing it on a golf course that already has all the big lights.
We get a lot of people that ask for a glow golf like video for like foundation.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you would have to play it on a light up par. You'd have to play it on a par 3 course that already has lights.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
And then it would look cool because like once the disc is in the air, it's illuminated sure by the lights a little bit, but it's also glowing in the darkness. I think it'd be cool. Yeah. Oh wow, we've got 7,000 people that just requested. All right, I think Anthony was the first one, so let's get Anthony in here. And then we'll go to the next D's in here. Juan, Scarson. All right, Anthony, you're live on Tour Life. What's up, brother?
Hello, brother. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Awesome. Hey, first thing I want to say is I think the reason that debate night didn't work is because a lot of people, on social media like to dissent just for the sake of dissension. But when it comes to actually talking to you, they know that you're right, and that's why nobody would call in and debate you.
Okay.
But I've listened to your guys' podcast. I've heard Julie talk about him being on a committee with the PDGA. I can't remember if it was the rules committee or the players committee.
I think it might be the players committee.
Okay. Is there any kind of committee that you would possibly be interested in hopping on with PDGA to try and get some of this implemented? I think you could be a really good voice, in that space.
Waste of time. Waste of my time, unfortunately. I think my best. Now, if it was a committee that I actually saw changes happening and I actually saw that they had some influence and power, then maybe. But if it's like I'm getting emails and I'm hopping on these Zoom calls and this and then nothing actually ever changes, then no. I think I'm best suited to spew, if you want, my ideas right here on the podcast, and then also take in, because I do, I listener questions on Twitter. I look at the comments while we're doing the podcast. I do try to take in the grasp of what the people want, right? And a lot of times I bring up those topics that are very, very important to the people listening to our podcast, the people that are watching disc golf. And I think that's the best thing I can do. We did notice, for example, we noticed a massive shift this year in trophies on the Pro Tour. Do I think that's just a coincidence? I don't think so. Do I think that it had a huge influence on everyone? Probably not. But we definitely called people out, and I'm sure TDs were like, I don't want people freaking calling me out on my trophy. So it's just like, I do think there is power in having a platform and talking about these issues. I don't see that really happening if I'm in some sort of committee.
Right. So the reason that you don't feel that it would work being a committee, is it because you think that the PDJ is ran by the top and there's no real input from the bottom? Or
I mean, I've never heard anything from players on the committee or these other committee being like, we pushed for this and the PDJ really didn't want to do it, but they listened to us and they did it.
Right. So you think it's top run and they don't really listen to the outside input?
I think they probably have these committees to make it sound cool, but at the end of the day, they're doing the decisions that are best for them, probably.
Right. I appreciate it, brother. That's all I have for you.
Of course, man. Appreciate you calling in.
Yes,
all right. I think D was next here. So let's get D on the line. D, you are live on Tour Life. How's it going, brother?
Hey, can you hear me? Just checking.
Yeah, you are good to go.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course.
Just your thoughts on, I know you and Uli talk on the podcast a lot about standardizing baskets and kind of a lot of spit outs happening in the past. I'm just curious if you've heard anything about standardized baskets or, even the metal that they're using for catching, things like that.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that they should do with baskets, I'll keep it very simple. They can change a lot of things, right? They can change how the metal is. They can change the band at the top. They can change a lot of things. What they really need to change is they need to just change the size of the width size of the chains compared to the width size of the basket. That's all they need to change. And I've always said they need to make putting more difficult. How do you make putting more difficult? Make the target smaller. Right now, a lot of the guys are putting with velocity and pace. Why? Because the putt stays on the line longer. If you try to lob, if you look at someone like Garrett Gurthey, right? The reason why Garrett Gurthey is such a streaky putter is because the way he putts it's very difficult to be super consistent the way he putts, right? Because he kind of is dropping the disc in the basket. Super lofty, dropping the disc in the basket.
Right.
You look at some of the best putters, we'll put Gannon out there. Yuli's kind of a little bit of an exception to this, but some of the best putters, Ricky, Gannon, even Paul, these guys are putting pace on the disc. And so what do you do to prohibit, or what do you do to make putting more difficult? Make the target smaller. Remove the outside chains. Remove the outside chains. So now when you're off by a little bit from your target, you're airballing. Where before you were clipping the chains and it might be falling in the basket, it might not. And now you've made the target of where we're aiming much smaller. And now when you actually hit your target too, there's no real risk of it bouncing out, because where the disc is impacting the target, it's so inside the cage already. Versus a lot with how these chains are currently set up, they are set up in a way of where they like swoop a lot. They have like the swing. We've seen it before where the disc comes in and the disc comes out and it swings in and swings out. You remove those outside chains, the chains are much tighter to the pole, and now it hits and drops in. That's why if you remove chains completely, I don't know if you've ever done this before, but if you remove chains completely and you just have a pole, right?
Okay.
If I
Never done
putt,
that, but that's interesting. Yeah.
if I putt at that pole and I hit that pole, as long as I'm not hitting it super high up on the pole, it's going in the basket every time.
Gotcha. Yeah, good call. And so I guess it'd kind of be something almost in between that tiny practice basket, I'm talking about, those like super thin ones that work on your accuracy.
Mm-hmm.
And then even like Gannon, right? I mean, obviously you said he putts with pace. So Uli even mentioned like, hey, he might even have to slow down his pace. But if he throws pace on it and then he misses, then he might be 3-putting because he's going to miss his second putt because maybe.
Oh, I think we might have lost you there. I think we might have lost you there.
Sorry,
You're back. You're back.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
You're back.
Yep. So, all good. Yeah, no, I appreciate your thoughts, and thanks for having me.
Of course, brother. Thanks for calling in. All right. I think Scarson is up, and then we got Juan in the batter's box. Scarson, you are live on Tour Life. How's it going, brother?
Speak to me.
You're live. Yes, you are live. How are you doing?
All right, I was just going to give a shout out and an invite to Carson's Disc Golf on YouTube.
What's Carson's YouTube channel?
Or UDisc.
Is it a golf course? A disc golf course?
Course down in South Arkansas down here, yeah.
South Arkansas. Carson Disc Golf. All right. All right. Appreciate you calling in, brother.
All right, man.
All right. Take it easy. All right. Carson Disc Golf. Anyone in the chat? Anyone ever played Carson Disc Golf before? All right. We got Juan calling in. Juan, you were live on Tour Life. How's it going, brother?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Brodie. Quick question for you. Should sponsors be more... Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Okay. Should sponsors be more involved with marketing their players? Or like, I don't know how to explain it. Maybe that's the best way to ask the question.
Maybe give me an example of a sponsor that currently isn't marketing a player.
Well, I'll say it this way. I just feel from an outsider looking in that loves the sport of disc golf, it seems like the onus is more on the players than it is the sponsors to market them. That's more of the take I'm saying.
Yeah, this is a very interesting one. Because at one point you have a lot of these sponsors. If we're talking about, I'm assuming we're talking more about the disc manufacturers, right? The big boys.
Disc manufacturers.
Yeah,
correct,
the big boys. So it's very interesting because on one point, a lot of these companies are sponsoring players that if you just straight up look at the numbers, right? How much money are we making off this player?
Mm-hmm.
How much money are we giving this player? A lot of them aren't really moving the needle. That's why a lot of players have these sponsors. And I've talked about this a little bit on YouTube. When you're first starting on YouTube, a lot of times what happens is companies reach out to you. They say, hey, we'll give you a link. And whenever someone signs up to whatever we're selling, or whenever someone buys something off our website using your link, we'll give you $1. And they'll say you have 10,000 subscribers. If you get 10% of your audience, that is $1,000 you can make, right? And to a lot of people at that stage, that works for them. I'll make money when you make money, right? And so that's how a lot of these disc golf sponsorships are set up is, hey, we'll give you a disc every time your disc sells, we'll give you a couple bucks, we'll keep the other money to ourselves, right? When you get to a certain level, that doesn't make sense anymore, right? Because you start realizing, wait a second, like I'm going out and throwing this other person's disc, and now people are wanting to buy that, or I'm influencing people that maybe throw a different sponsor to start throwing this sponsor. So wait a second, I need actual money, not just for what I sell. So that's where you actually get the guaranteed money coming in, and then maybe you have a tiered system with other stuff as well. And ultimately, I agree with you. I think they could be doing a lot more, but at the same ticket, if no one's really currently doing it, right? If no one's really pushing the envelope, and there's not really someone that's out there doing an incredible job, why change? Right? If you're still raking in the money and still making a lot of money, and there's no reason for you to change, why change?
Well, the only say, just coming from a business standpoint, I think it would benefit both the manufacturer and the player.
No, I'm agreeing with you,
Right.
but it's also more work.
Yeah, no, it is. 100%.
Right?
I'm like looking at like these tournaments, like, because I'm in the New England area. I'm like half hour away from Maple Hill. And I'm thinking like if there was a break in between like tournament stops and they did like, and like I see this all the time. The pros come to the area, then they do their own clinics. It's almost more, I can see, I'm always asking like, why aren't the disc manufacturers organizing these events way ahead of time? And then all you see is the pros like last minute trying to fill these spots. Like, hey, I'm at this course. Come Wednesday at 6 o'clock.
So I'm going to push back a little bit there. I'm going to disagree with you a little bit on that one because I do think a lot of times, players are trying to make money. And so a lot of times they're trying to do these clinics in between to make money in between. These aren't really needle movers that much. And if to me, what I think should happen more, and again, just look at what other sports are doing, right? You're not getting a clinic with Steph Curry in between games. Like his Nike sponsor isn't doing that. But what Nike might, or he's not Nike yet, he's actually, I think, Under Armour. But
he's Under Armour, yeah.
Yeah, but what Under Armour might do is Under Armour might do a week camp, sponsor a week camp, and have him there coaching or have him show up. They might have him do, some sort of meet and greet type of thing, bigger events like that. That's where it's like I do think they definitely could do more, but to think that they're just going to hop on and be like, oh yeah, we're just going to start running clinics with players, like that's just not a real big needle mover at all.
Yeah, just one example I was using. It just feels like there's a void there that's missing that can benefit like everyone.
No, there definitely is. There's definitely a bigger impact that they can have. But like I said, I think they are also looking at their bottom line, and it is scary because they could easily be like, hey, we're going to invest $100,000 into promoting our players this year via marketing, videos, events. It is scary to take that jump because it might not really do much at all sales-wise. And if that's the case, then why the heck are you doing it in the first place? So yeah, it is one of those things where, there's certain companies. Lulu's a perfect example of this. Lululemon, that is. When we first started talking to them a while ago, they had they have their like sweat team or sweat collective or whatever it is, where it's basically if you teach yoga or you're a professional athlete or something like that, you're a part of this and you get discounts and whatnot, right? But when I talked to them, their marketing team years and years ago, being like, hey, I love your clothing, I would love to do something with you, they simply just straight up said like, oh, we don't really do that. We don't sponsor anyone. We don't do any of that stuff. Clearly something changed, right? Because now we see JJ Watt. I think we've seen Tom Brady. We've seen other people, and Peloton actually is very similar to this as well. Peloton, same thing. They're like, we don't need influencers. We create our own influencers with our instructors. Well, at a certain point in time, that doesn't work, or it stopped working, and now they're having to go outside and do other stuff. So maybe that will happen in disc golf as well, right? If someone comes in and is super savvy with the marketing side of things. The other thing I view it though, really at the end of the day, the other thing is like, I think what disc golf has been kind of doing for a while now is you kind of just circle and are taking money from the same people over and over and over and over and over again. And what really needs to happen is I think there needs to be more branching out. So it's not so much, if I'm Discraft, I shouldn't be thinking, okay, how do I get someone that's throwing Innova to start throwing Discraft? I should be trying to think, how do I get someone that's not playing disc golf at all to start playing disc golf and start buying Discraft?
Yeah, that's actually one of the things I was actually going to get to is like, I just feel like disc manufacturers can, like, if they come in for a tournament in your area, they can go to like local schools and introduce like the game of disc golf too.
Yes. To me, that's where it is introducing the youth, getting more kids playing it, excited about it, exposed to it, doing events based around that. I think that would be huge. So it'll be interesting to see what happens because, I think as a consumer in the disc golf world, there's only so much of where it's just like at a certain point in time, it's like, geez, there's a new disc coming out every week, maybe sometimes more. And at a certain point, you're just like, man, it's a little bit too much overload, right? So,
and in disc golf, it just seems like everything's just copy and paste. So like Brodie's coming out with a signature series. Oh, guess what? Gannon's coming out with a signature series at the same time.
Yeah. And that's why some of the best discs that we've run have been, they've had like some of the best discs I've run. There's meaning behind it, right? It's always a passion. That's probably one of the better releases that we've done recently. And it's because there was meaning behind it. There was a story behind it. And so it wasn't just Brodie's coming out with another disc. Oh, Brodie's coming out with another disc. Like having those stories and getting behind, I think that's how you kind of can move the needle in the current space. But again, I just think long-term, we got to be looking about how do we get more people involved in disc golf? How do we get more people out there playing? So that's where I'll leave on that.
I appreciate it, brother. Thank you.
Brother. Good talk. All right. Let's see what other listener questions we have here. This question is, when will disc golf form be developed to where it is effective for distance and accuracy for both shots, while also incorporating methods to keep players safe and being able to have more longevity? So many injuries recently makes me wonder how much longer we can go like this. The injuries that we're seeing in disc golf isn't so much about bad form. It's more about people not taking care of their bodies, not warming up properly, and not cooling down. You look at what disc golf does, the movement in disc golf compared to other sports, it is way less violent, way less wear and tear on the body. And yes, if you go out to a field and you throw 1,000 forehands as hard as you can, you might hurt yourself. So all that stuff, I don't think the form stuff really needs to be. To me, I look at disc golf very similar to like a basketball shot. There's all different ways of getting a good, getting the right product or getting a successful product, a successful result is what I'm trying to say. And they can look very different. There's certain key aspects that need to be looked at, but that's how I would answer that. Disc golf viewership was growing rapidly during COVID, but now the hype train seems to be slowing down. What are your thoughts around this? It feels like younger player success has led to less people tuning in. Couple things here, right? Couple things. First off, when COVID was happening, there wasn't really a lot of competition. Not a lot of other stuff was going on. So clearly disc golf was going to gain off of that. I think the Disc Golf Network has had issues with just their product. I think also being behind a paywall is bad. I think the situation with players transitioning and playing to FPO has also called people to not want to tune in. I think that's a much smaller number than some people might want you to believe, but I think there's a lot of factors going into it. Yeah. All right, Joshua here. Let's see here. This will probably be our last person calling in here. Joshua, you're live on Tour Life. How's it going, brother?
Oh, there we go.
Yep, you're live there. You're good. You're good.
Hey, have you covered the Ken account yet?
No, I haven't gotten to that yet.
Would you like to get into that now, or?
Yeah, go for it.
So, I'm the one who exposed it.
Okay.
Yeah. I posted it anonymously, and then I kind of just let people just tee off on it, and it's been fun just watching it.
So for those that don't know, Silas, if you want to throw the photo up, there's an account on Twitter. We've talked about it on here before. There's an account on Twitter that is basically claiming to be King Climo. And my thoughts on this account is I thought it was a great idea. I thought it was a fantastic idea, actually. There are tons of parody accounts out there on Twitter that are hilarious. And initially, when this person started posting, they were actually making a lot of funny tweets. I thought it was a very funny account. Now, the problem with it is they started deceiving people and trying to trick people into believing that they were actually King Climo and not a parody account. That is when I kind of drew the line and I was like, brother, you had something going for you that you could have such a cool parody account. You could have tons of followers, because I'm sure that's why you created it in the first place, to get notoriety. There is that dopamine of posting something and seeing the retweets and likes go up. And you had something so cool, and you blew it because you had Ken actually come out. I believe he made a post on his wife's Facebook, because he doesn't even have social media, letting people know that that's not him. He doesn't have a Twitter account. We brought him on the show. We've talked about it. And ultimately, you had people that are gullible. And let's be honest, we're in 2024. There's a lot of gullible people out there. The fact that these people are willing to just give people money over a phone call happens every single time. That's where it's like, just put parody account in the bio and there, problem solved. And so you were able to see one of his posts. He posted, I think it was like a picture of a rock or something like that. And
lobster, I think.
What was it?
I think it was a lobster disc.
Lobster. Okay. Posted a picture. Kind of forgot that plastic reflects in certain light. And you were able, and which is actually really impressive, because there's a lot of people when they first see it. We were talking about this on, I believe, the off season, where like when you first saw it, you're like, where the heck? Like, I don't see anything. And then once you see it, you're like, holy cow, yep, there he is right there. So yeah, you were the first to see it, and then you luckily screenshotted it, so it's there, because I think he ended up deleting the post. And yeah, you posted it, and so hopefully now word spreads out to everyone that thought this was actually Ken Climo saying these things out there. Hopefully now everyone knows it's not King Climo. Hopefully he puts parody account in his Twitter bio and keep firing away funny tweets. Did you have anything else that you wanted to add?
No, that was about it.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. Of course, brother. Appreciate you. All right. We'll take one more here. Cardzilla, you're the final speaker, final guest of the show. You're live on Tour Life. How's it going? They really make size. They really make the I feel like when you get added in, I feel like you should be unmuted. The fact that you have to unmute yourself is kind of crazy. All right, Carzo, we should be able to hear you now. Or maybe not. Hello, hello?
He fell asleep.
No, I just saw him unmute himself. All right, well, we're just going to end the Twitter space. Cardzilla, I tried. Let me go through these last couple questions here. Did you miss that putt on purpose that got you kicked off imposter? Spoiler alert, no, I didn't. For those that don't know, I hadn't played disc golf since D-Glow coming into that. So I was very rusty. And when it comes to step putts, when I'm rusty in step putts, I do miss high sometimes. And going back on it, I talked about this a little bit on the off season. I should have thrown a scuba. I should have laid up. I should have done something, but I was a little bit of a stupid person and was like, ooh, I'm going to jam this putt and we're going to win it right here on this hole. And it's not going to matter what we do on the next hole. Yeah. Well, that turned out bad.
Did you know there was OB behind the basket?
I did not think it was the what do you call it? Chain fence?
Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was the street.
Okay.
Didn't really matter because it went in the street anyways, so it wasn't like it would have been safe if it was a terrible putt. It was a terrible putt. Brodie, my friend and I are starting up a YouTube channel. What advice can you give us to help us be successful? And would you be willing to do a video with us? Answer to that is yes, I'll do a video with you if it makes like timing wise. But I get this question a lot. Got it a lot more when I was doing trick shots and posting and getting a lot more views on the trick shot videos. But I've gotten this quite a bit, and I'll tell you this on social media. When I got into social media, and when a lot of people got into social media years and years ago, there was not really money to be had. There was not people doing YouTube full time. You weren't really getting famous off of it. And so what it really was a platform, an outlet for you to be able to share your passion with others and other people to join in and to be a part of a community of everyone that shares the same passion. Now, it has turned into a little bit of a business, a little bit of an industry. And ultimately, I think that is kind of the downfall of social media, because now you no longer have people that are just simply doing content because they love it. They're making content and they're trying to create content in a way that gets the most clicks. And so the authenticity of the content has to be judged. And then ultimately too, there's just a lot more stuff that you have to sift through than back in the day. So my advice to you is, if you're trying to do YouTube to be successful, and by I'm assuming successful, lots of subscribers, make lots of money, don't do it. Don't do it. Do YouTube, create videos because you want to share a story. You have something that you want to share with other people. That is initially what social media was created for. And I think, hopefully, that's where we'll get. Because time has this interesting thing. If you go and you look at fashion, stuff that was in style decades ago, and then all of a sudden like goes out of style and no one wants to wear it, it has a funny way of coming back into style. And I'm thinking that might be what YouTube and social media happens, is what used to be a very innocent place for people to create content and for those to enjoy content has gone kind of off the deep end a little bit. Maybe it comes back. We'll see.
There's just so much out there now.
Oh, it's crazy. It's insane. It's insane the amount of stuff that's out there. What is the short side equivalent for disc golf? If it doesn't exist, what specifically should be done? Rules or design choices to add this strategy to disc golf? So for those that don't know, short side is a term that is used in golf. It's, if you imagine yourself a circle and the pin is close to one of the edges of the circle. Okay, this is the green. The pin is close to one of the edges. If you miss on the side where the pin is, you really don't have that much green to work with. Hence, short side. Not a lot, short side. Where if you miss on the opposite side, you have a lot of green to work with. It's a much easier chip. So I think a lot of times we don't have this in disc golf. That's where I do think course design is lacking, is when I throw a shot at a basket, a lot of times I'm just like, if it lands anywhere within 40 feet of the basket, I have a putt. This is where I think they need to make it to where if you're right of the basket, you're dead. Another hole, if you're long of the basket, you're dead. You know, start making it to where certain areas are tough. And the ways of doing that, you need to have elevation. You need to have elevation, right? Most people are always going to want to putt uphill to a basket. So if you make it to where, hey, if I go long on this basket, I'm now putting towards the basket and towards downhill, that's scary. That to me would be my short-sighted. Would disc golf get better if flight numbers were more accurate? I always think it's kind of fun to have no real sense of how a disc flies until you learn it. That said, flight numbers aren't great, and there's so much undisclosed variation in between plastics of the same mold. Yes. Do I think for the general population, flight numbers that are standardized across companies, would that be better? Yes, I do. Will we ever see that? Probably not. But I do think it would help newer players, especially coming in, if the 10 speed in Discraft was the same at Latitude, was the same at Innova, and so on and so forth. Does changing course layouts year to year prevent us from establishing long-standing, record-breaking performances in the sport? Macbeth shoots a historical 18 under round at Deglow. I love to see how scores compare 5 years from now, but that layout will likely be very different. Okay. This is an issue for sure. Playing different courses also, like not having that history at a course definitely hurts for sure. But we're in an era right now where the game of disc golf is elevating to levels it's never elevated before. And so a lot of these courses have to go undergo changes. What I would like them to do maybe is be a little bit more drastic and get there quicker than they currently are. And then you can kind of have something a little bit more set in stone. But yes, this idea that every year we go to a course and, these 3 holes are no longer there. We're playing these 2 holes. This hole now is a par 5. It used to be a par 4. I don't think that's great for the viewer experience, and it's also terrible for history. Like the history is awful, right? So yeah, I would agree with you on that. Can you discuss how many discs you get and how often as part of your sponsorship? Sure. So my sponsorship is probably a little bit different than a lot of other players. Discraft has been very, very good to me. And we have a relationship where if I want a disc, I tell them I want a disc. They send me the disc. If I want 10 of a disc, I tell them that I want 10 of the disc. They send me the disc. We don't really have anything specifically in our contract because I don't really overuse that. I also aren't selling discs. You know, I'm not getting discs sent from them to me and then going out and like trying to sell those at tournaments and whatnot. And also when I do get discs sent to me, I try to promote them on my social media. I try to promote them in YouTube videos, on social media, here on Tour Life. So it's a very good partnership between them. But most sponsorships, especially at the entry level, there's probably going to be something of where it's like, hey, you get 25 discs. Send us a list of what discs you want at the beginning of the year. You get 25. We send them to you. Done, right?
Have you ever done like a collection video? Like a video of like all your discs?
There's
That's
some
what
right
you got?
there.
No, I'm saying like I think
that
people-
is
I think
maybe
people would enjoy it.
2%. That's maybe 2%.
That's what I'm saying. I think a lot of people will enjoy.
That's like a retirement video, Silas. That's like when I'm long gone in disc golf world, and
Okay,
I'm sitting around. I think Trevor did a video one time where he like faked snuck into my because this used to be the disc golf room. So this used to only have disc golf in it, where now it's the card room, and the disc golf room has moved to a different area of the house. And so if you do go back on Foundation Disc Golf, I think there is a video of Trevor like breaking into my disc golf room and going through some of like the very special discs that I have. So go watch that. Foundation Disc Golf. If you're not subscribed, what are you doing? All right. The Imposter finale came out today. So if you guys haven't watched it, definitely go check that out. It's on Foundation Disc Golf. Speaking of which, what we were just speaking about, go check out the final podcast. And also make sure you tune into the off season next week. We are going to be trying to do like a reunion show. So we're going to try to bring a lot of people back that were on Imposter. And we're going to kind of have all of us talk about the behind the scenes. Why the heck did you vote that way? Why the heck did you throw a forehand roller on hole 2? It should be a good time. Silas, did we miss anything? Anything else you got for the people?
I don't think so.
All right.
Fun, chill show tonight.
Yeah, hopefully it was still a good show without Yuli. He will be back next week, like I said. Edwin also will be hopping on here, giving some stats. And we've got some good guests lined up in the next couple weeks as well. So, hey, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Appreciate it. Get out on the disc golf course before it gets too cold, or heck, like that photo we saw of Thor earlier before the snow gets crazy. Get out on the disc golf course, play some disc golf. We're in the off season, so it is what it is. No word. We didn't really talk about it, but no word on player movement so far. Haven't heard anything. No scuttlebutt. If we hear anything, we'll let you know. We'll bring them on, have them talk about it. But until next time, appreciate you guys all for listening, and we'll see you guys next week.